Well, it seems the spooky season is well underway, so let's talk about some spooky books. Indeed, it's true, the spooky season is well underway. It is October of 2023, and I've just received my October 2023 package from Nightworms, the horror book subscription service that sends 2 horror books along with a little goodie bag every month. For those of you who've been following this channel for a while, let me explain why I have not made one of these videos in the last couple of months. A couple months back, apparently my credit card expired, and I don't know if the problem was on their end or mine, but I never received the notice that I needed to update my payment information at Nightworms until it was too late. And let me just say, if you're a subscriber to Nightworms, make sure you don't let your subscription lapse because it's not easy to get back in. But I am now back in. I just had a couple months absence and now I'm back. I've got my October package, and as I, except for the last couple of months, always like to do, I'm going to open this up live to camera, and I will discover what's inside this October package at the same time as y'all do. In case any of you might be interested in the books that are in this package, if you're not a subscriber to Nightworms, check down in the What's It. I will be putting purchase links where you can find these books. There will also be all kinds of wonderful other information down there, so always do make sure to read that What's It, because there's good stuff there. But without further ado, let's very carefully slice this package open. Carefully so as to not damage any of the books inside. And while I do that, let me just remind you to be sure to like this video, leave me comments. Most importantly, I suppose, would be to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Share this and all of my videos with a friend. All of those things help support my work here on this channel. You can also find copies of my book linked down in the What's It. That's another great way to support my work here on this channel. All of those things help make it possible for me to keep making these videos for y'all. But with all of that prefatory material out of the way, let's dig in and see what books we've received this October of 2023. The first one I see is large. It's a hardcover, and it is a book entitled A Haunting on the Hill. This is a novel by Elizabeth Hand. This is an author with whom I'm unfamiliar. I've heard the name, but I've never read any of her works, which means, of course, I've not read this book. I don't actually know anything about this book, although presumably it's something of a Haunting of Hill House-esque kind of a book, because that's sort of what it sounds like. Let's go ahead and read the description on the flap and see what it says. The description says, from award-winning writer Elizabeth Hand comes the first novel authorized to return to the world of Shirley Jackson's Haunting of Hill House. I was right. A terrifying new story of isolation and longing, perfect for our present time. We'll see what that has in store for us, because one of the things I like about The Haunting of Hill House is that it isn't in the present time. It's an older time. It's a classical sort of work, and I like older things. I like classical kinds of things, but that doesn't mean I hate everything to do with the modern world. Just some of the things. So a modern interpretation will be an interesting idea. Let's read on and see what it says. It says, open the door. Holly Sherwin has been a struggling playwright for years, but now, after receiving a grant to develop her play, Witching Night, she may finally be close to her big break. All she needs is time and space to bring her vision to life. I understand this. You know, the scene in The Shining, the film version, when Jack is at the typewriter and has a fit because he's interrupted. I find myself turning into that from time to time because time to write is a precious commodity. Carrying on, it says, when she stumbles across Hill House on a weekend getaway upstate, she is immediately taken in by the mansion, nearly hidden outside a remote village. It's enormous, old, and ever so eerie, the perfect place to develop and rehearse her play. Indeed. Despite her own hesitations, Holly's girlfriend Nisa agrees to join Holly in renting the house for a month, and soon a troupe of actors, each with ghosts of their own, arrive. Yet as they settle in, the house's peculiarities are made known. Strange creatures stalk the grounds, disturbing sounds echo through the halls, and time itself seems to shift. All too soon, Holly and her friends find themselves at odds, not just with one another, but with the house itself. It seems something has been waiting in Hill House all these years, and it no longer intends to walk alone. So that certainly sounds interesting enough. There's loads of praise from some very well-respected authors on the back. I certainly love Shirley Jackson's novel. It's a classic for very good reason and one of my personal favorites. So I'm a little bit nervous about any new author that decides to play in the world established by a classic. But putting that hesitation aside, this does sound like a good novel. It sounds like an interesting return to a favorite haunted house. So I'm very much looking forward to trying this A Haunting on the Hill by Elizabeth Hand. The next book to come out is a paperback, and it is a book called Let the Woods Keep Our Bodies. This is by E.M. Roy. And this is published by Ghoulish Books, which is, I believe, fairly new imprint associated with Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing. This is an author I'm unfamiliar with, but a publisher I am familiar with, so let's read the description on this one. It says, in the small town of Eston, Maine, weird things happen sometimes. Leo Bates knows what's behind every corner in her hometown, where she's lived her whole life. Some disjointed memories and grief for her late parents, sure, but nothing dangerous, nothing unexplainable. But the familiar becomes strange the longer you look at it. That's true. When Tate Mulder goes missing and Leo is pinned as the prime suspect, she can only watch as the town she thought she knew deteriorates around her. She is forced to confront the truth about her parents, Eston, and her relationship if she is to survive an onslaught of conspiracies, cryptic monstrosities, and whatever is hiding in the woods where Tate was last seen. Finding the girl she loves may be the only way to restore balance to Eston, if such a thing ever existed to begin with. So that also sounds like quite a good read. I don't really have a whole lot of commentary to offer. It's not based on a classic, so I don't have a lot of frame of reference. I don't know the author's work. I do know the publishing house, and they tend to put out a lot of good stuff, so I think that promises something of high quality, and it certainly sounds intriguing based on the description on the back. I'm looking forward to trying this one very much as well. But don't turn this video off yet. We've got through the books, but there's also this wonderful little goodie bag. Nightworms always includes this little pouch of some other stuff, and there's frequently some very good stuff in there, so let's dig into this and see what we have. And in this particular one, the first item to come out is a bookmark. There is always a Nightworms bookmark that identifies the theme for the month's package. This one says, Scared of the Dark, which I am not, but many people are, and it's a wonderful theme for horror stories. That tells us that this is the Nightworms October 2023. I do always like to get their bookmarks, and I've been using their bookmarks quite a bit recently. We also have this little flyer or piece of paper that identifies all the stuff that's supposed to be in the package. There's an advertisement on the back for a book called Sanctum, which is a fantasy horror novella by Ethan J. Pollard. I'm not going to read the description out now, but maybe check that out if you're interested in fantasy horror. So there's an advertisement there. The next item is an autographed book plate, and I struggle to make out the writing on that, so I'm going to set it to the side for a moment and I'll figure out whose signature that is. The next item to come out is another autographed book plate. This one, I can make out, does say E.M. Roy, so this one belongs to this book, the Let the Woods Keep Our Bodies. Let me tuck that in the cover. And that must mean that this belongs to Elizabeth Hand. So this one goes into A Haunting on the Hill. So both of these have become signed copies, at least by virtue of book plates. Which, as I've always said, book plates are not quite as nice as a personally, in-person signed copy, but they are the next best thing, and shipping books back and forth to be signed would be prohibitively expensive, so I do understand why book plates are wonderful little things. Anyway, we're still not done. The next item to come out is presumably a beverage. It is The Haunting of Tea House. This is English Breakfast and Cream from, I'm struggling to make that out. It says Riddle's Tea Shop. So this is a tea blend, which presumably is based on The Haunting of Hill House, which goes very nicely with this book. So perhaps I'll brew this tea whenever I get around to reading that book. I do always like that they include a beverage, something warm that you can brew up, frequently caffeinated to help you keep awake while you're reading these wonderful books. And we're still not quite finished. The next item to come out is one of their stickers. We have a pumpkin-headed guy, sort of a scarecrow character, and it says, "'Tis the season." Indeed it is. And I think there was one more item. There is one more item. Yet another sticker. We have a skull with a candle, sort of a smoking candle, and in the smoke we see a sort of haunted castle. I do always like their stickers, and if you're a sticker person, they seem to always provide some good ones. So, I have to say, this was another good month for the Nightworms company. I've got 2 books with signed book plates, both of which I am looking forward to reading. I've got something to drink, and I've got some stickers and assorted other fun little stuff. So that brings us to the end of this video. As I said, if you're interested in either of these books, there will be purchase links down in the What's It. There will also be a purchase link to my book down in the What's It, which is a wonderful way of helping to support my work here on this channel, which you can also do by doing all those YouTube-y things I mentioned at the beginning, subscribing, etc., etc., etc. I'll try to not belabor the point too much, although apparently I am required to ask you to do that in just about every video, because that's how YouTube seems to work. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off and get caught up on some reading. I hope y'all enjoy your own Halloween reading, and as always, take care and stay scared.